This Miller philosopher. The Gondorian Civil War was the most pivotal event in the kingdom's history, and there was a lot of pivotal events in Gondor's history. The war between the Gondorian armies of Castamir and the alliance consisting of Rorvinian horsemen and Gondorian dissidents against Castimir, led by the rightful king, Eldacar, resulted in not only nearly destroying Gondor, but also wiping out nearly all of its Numenorian bloodlines that they held so dear and what the war was fucking fought for in the first place. I've done videos on this that I will link below, but here's essentially the question I'm asking. What would have happened if Castamir, and not Eldacar, had won that war? What would this version of Gondor be like? And how would that affect their future? As with most things in Middle-earth, quite a lot. But I'll keep with the general overviews and not try to get too much into the weeds here. For one thing, the map would have completely changed. Let's say Castamir kills Eldacar during the war. Then the entire north would be left to the eventual fall to Sauron or his proxies in Angmar or the Easterlings. Castamir's preference lay with the sea and in the south, in Gondor's naval forces, just like his Numenorian ancestors before him. And so much so that he actually planned to move the capital of Gondor to Peligir, much further south, as well as being a port city/fortress. Now, a victorious Castamir would mean the fulfillment of this goal, leaving Minas Tirith and Osgiliath as nothing more than eventual outposts or, at best, trading centers with any communities that were or may have been still friendly to the new crown in the north. And the loss of their armies during the attempt to regain the Gondorian throne would leave Rorvinian more vulnerable to the Easterlings, and with Gondor no longer friendly towards them after something like that, would also most likely eventually leading them to fall completely to them much earlier than when the plague decimates them. And that would mean that I don't think any of their main timeline descendants, being the people of Dale, the Bjornings, and so on, would have ever been created. Moreover, Arthedain in the north would still fall, but this time with no hope of revival. So that means no Dunedain Rangers, no Aragorn, no Shire, no Hobbits, no Rohan. Essentially, no Lord of the Rings. Because of this, though, this new Gondor's focus is going to be on the south. The Noldor elves in Rivendell and Lindon may hold out for a while, but would once again be a constant war, either with Angmar or the Easterlings or the Orcs. The Dwarves would never have been able to set up Erebor with the Easterlings occupying those lands. But this also means that Smaug never comes south from the Weatherheath or Grey Mountains, and the Elves of the Greenwood and Lothlorien would, like their Noldor kin, west of the Misty Mountains, also be either besieged or just flat out destroyed. The main power of the West would instead be concentrated to the south, a literal flip of the political map in the canon timeline. Now, given how the sons of Castamir were able to make alliances with the Haradrim and the people of Umbar, Gondor's expansion southward is guaranteed, and much further than in canon. This would even present a massive problem to Sauron because now one of his main allies is either compromised or removed off the political map completely as now being a part or an alliance with Gondor. All of Sauron's attacks would have to be either coming from much further east or from the north through classic Middle-earth. And this would still leave Sauron with problems because this Gondor is now much better reinforced and has more land and resources to pull from than canon Gondor does. With their naval forces, Castamir's Gondor could both harass any attacks from the north, much like how their ancestors did in the Second Age during the war with Sauron and the Elves, as well as resupply them because Sauron never goes to the sea nor uses it as an access point. attacks from the east would basically be a new round of wars between the Easterlings and an alliance between Gondor, the Harad, and Rumbar, but that still leaves Gondor in a much better position than it was in canon. What's more, in canon, Gondor is worn down in part not just by the Easterlings' wars, but the wars in the south. That they in fact lose their naval power because of that. Now, the latter isn't even a problem. Hell, you might even see Mumakil flying the banners of Gondor. Imagine that. I mean, who needs Rohan at that point? So, all that being said though, what about the One Ring? Well, short of someone else finding it by chance, it remains hidden, with no hobbits to stumble across it nor awaken it, and becomes a non-factor. Now, of course, this means that Sauron will remain in Middle-earth, but not with the same resources. I think the only real wild card here is going to be the Istari. While the Blues still go east to who knows where and whatever happens to them, what would Saruman, Gandalf, and Radagast do in this portion of Middle-earth that now has no allies for them to lean on, that either are not free or cannot assist them in moving the free peoples to war? It's hard to motivate people who are quite comfortable, and believe me, Gondor will be sitting pretty damn well. The one change that can be certain would be that Radagast would be more active in his mission, given that the nature that he potentially loves so much is now pretty much corrupt and forsaken. Perhaps they could foment revolutions and rebellions here and there, but even if those efforts did eventually succeed, it would take much longer to do because of lack of major powers available to them that they could use as resources to further that along. So my hot take is this, that despite being morally worse than in canon, honestly, I think Gondor, under the reign of Castamir's family, don't even say it, is stronger, and if not at peace, is still able to hold their own against the forces arrayed against them and basically just live with that. But tell me your own thoughts below on this. This is Miller Philosopher, and you guys have a good day.